Hello, and welcome to the Valley. Today, I am your host, Janet Michael. I am sitting today at the Village at Orchard Ridge. I have to admit, I'd never been here before, and it is absolutely beautiful. So I'm a little envious of my guests today because they get to be here all of the time. We're going to be talking today with Kaleen Baker and Cheryl Conrad. Dolores and Jerry Gordon are going to join us in the second segment, but they are leaders of a group, the Greater Winchester Area Parkinson's Support Group. And Kaleen, you were telling me before we started recording that April is Parkinson's Awareness Month. Give me a little history and a little background about this group.
Well, this group was started as a caregiver group a couple years ago, and now it is support for both the caregiver as well as the Parkinson person. To help them with this journey that they are on, we started the support group so that we could offer them not only general support and feelings of camaraderie, but also the people in the area that could offer medical help and advice.
Resources.
The resources, yes. And it's amazing when you get people together, you find lots of people have other resources that you didn't even know about. And so that's one of the advantages of having this support group, all the information we can get from each other while giving each other support.
Cheryl, how long has the group been together?
The group originally started around 2012, and it met at different locations, but mainly at one of the larger churches. And then COVID hit, and so things fell apart. But we had a web presence, and people kept contacting, where are you? Are you still meeting? And so 25, I guess it was, we started just working with caregivers in the restaurants, just supporting them and sharing information. But we got too many in the restaurant, and thanks to Orchard Ridge, we were able to get permission to meet here. And now not only does the caregiver come, but also the person who has Parkinson's. Last month, we had 44 people.
Wow. I wonder if that's a misconception amongst our community is people know of Parkinson's largely because of Michael J. Fox. And so sometimes when something like that is on a national stage, they don't understand or realize how many people could be affected by it in their local community. And now that you're doing these things, people are now understanding that there are resources and that they're not alone.
And we do advertise in the local newspapers. Right now we're meeting the last Tuesday of the month in a chapel at the Village at Orchard Ridge at 1:30 in the afternoon. And the meetings are about an hour. Every third month, I believe it's every third month, we break out so that those who are caregivers meet alone and those who have Parkinson's meet alone. That way they can share their own frustrations and get ideas.
Without hurting the other's feelings necessarily.
Exactly. And that, when I was a caregiver, was so helpful for me because they could tell me ways to shower and ways to serve foods that they wouldn't spill when they were shaking.
And finding out that they weren't alone, that there are other people having the same problems. And it was so helpful to know that, yes, I'm not alone. They're there. They can commiserate with me. They understand what I'm talking about.
I've talked with many people over the years with various illnesses, diseases, disorders. And when we talk about caregivers, it is one of the loneliest things that a person can be for a loved one. You wouldn't necessarily think so, but it really does become very isolating.
Yes, indeed, and very draining. The pressures on a caregiver is really something else. And one of the things they keep telling us is make sure that you take care of yourself first so that you can then take care of your partner. And it is so true. It's one of the hardest things to do, though, to figure out how to get that time for yourself. But if you can do it, it's so helpful because then you have more energy, more patience, and you can help your partner even more.
And Cheryl, you make a good point when you talk about learning things that when you're in it, it's very difficult to think about how to do something differently or what other options that you may have. But when you're in a room with other caregivers who say, you know, I had this problem and here's a life hack, so to speak, that I was able to figure out, that's got to be incredibly beneficial.
It was for me. It truly was. One of the things that he had trouble with in the shower was how to handle soap. He couldn't squirt a bottle, and he had a bar of soap in his hand. And somebody said, why don't you just put it into a knee-high stocking and tie a knot around it, make a loop, and make your own soap on a rope. Wow.
Never would have thought. Kaleen, where do you find the resources that you bring in? You shared your schedule with me, and you have speakers that come to talk about different things. How do you get that information?
Sometimes it's tricky, but people have their own contacts, their own doctors that they would recommend. We can get them. We also, of course, have the Parkinson's Foundation, the national groups that are very willing to give you supplies, reading supplies, and information that way. So the resources resources are out there. You do have to look for them.
And last month we had Janie Seymour, who's with Dementia Matters. Some Parkinson's people have to deal with dementia, so she was excellent, very good speaker.
And do you find that depending on the speaker is how many people actually come? So you can always tell when you get a good speaker because the room is packed.
Absolutely, yes. And she's very popular and so helpful, so very helpful. One other thing I'd like to mention is we do have the Rock Steady Boxing program that is over at the Wellness Center. That came back in 2013. My husband and I both enrolled. It was brand new to the area. And it is a program that helps people with Parkinson's through circuit training and boxing.
Oh.
And the caregiver can participate with them. And it was wonderful. We boxed together, and I boxed that big heavy belt a lot. It was great. It started back in Indianapolis, and the gentleman that began the whole program was afflicted with Parkinson's. He had a buddy who was in a boxing program, and the buddy said, "Why don't you try boxing? Maybe that'll help." He started boxing, and within about 5 or 6 months, somebody said, "Wow, how are you doing?" And he said, "I'm rock steady." He put his hand out, and it was rock steady. So that's how it got its name. And they have found that it's very beneficial for people with Parkinson's, and it's a wonderful program. So I'm encouraging anyone, it's for men and women, whoever has the Parkinson's, and it's very, very beneficial.
Cheryl, you are putting together a walk. Give me a little details about what that walk is, how it works, and how the community can support you through it as a whole.
April is Parkinson's Awareness Month, and so the walk that we're doing is not a fundraiser. It is strictly to invite the people that are in our current group to come and walk the sidewalks and walk the trails that are here at Orchard Ridge. We have a lovely grounds. We have support people who come on with, we call them gators, these little ride around things, so if a person gets too tired and needs a ride back. We have other groups that are providing beverages and shade, different kind of helps. And the walk goes from a quarter mile to a full mile.
Oh, wow.
Depending upon how much you want to do. And it's for those with Parkinson's and those who are caregivers who would just like to come out and be seen.
And the overall hope is that people read about the fact that you're having this walk, or they hear the fact that you're having this walk, and then they know that you have this group, so that ultimately they can then join the group and have access to all the resources and each other.
Correct.
And when are you doing the walk?
Right now, it's April the 21st. Our rain date is April the 28th.
We would love to see anyone that wants to join us that has Parkinson's and want to come and see what this is all about and see the benefits of being in a group with the same situation. It's really very good. My husband did not want to join when he had Parkinson's. He was very reluctant, but once he started coming, oh my goodness, that was the highlight of the month.
It became a lifeline for
Yes,
us.
absolutely, yes.
I would imagine this group does bring in a wide range of people, from those who are suffering from Parkinson's to those that are caring for them. I could have an uncle and I want to be of assistance to my aunt, or I want to make sure that I'm helping someone that I know, a friend or a coworker. Can I also join this group? Who is this group for exactly?
Absolutely. Anyone that has the disease, the caregivers, their friends, their family. The caregiving doesn't have to be just the partner. It could be the entire family. And so all of these people that are associated with this disease are certainly welcome to join us. Friends, neighbors, anyone that might be involved with helping this person. We are very open to anyone that would like to join us.
We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to continue our conversation. Dolores and Jerry Gordon are going to join us. Again, we're recording today at the Village at Orchard Ridge, talking about Parkinson's. April is Parkinson's Awareness Month, so we're getting a jump on educating everyone who's listening today. We're going to do more of that when we come back in just a couple of minutes.
This Saturday, Henry Mueller will change the world. He has no idea that's what he's going to do. He only knows that he went to justserve.org and signed up to spend time at a senior center Saturday morning. As he browsed through service opportunities in his own community, he remembered the words of Paul to the Galatians, "By love, serve one another." Little does Henry know that Saturday morning he'll end up speaking to one senior in particular who hasn't seen his family in several weeks and is feeling especially lonely. Henry doesn't know the short time he'll spend with this man will lift his spirits, cheer his heart, and make his life just a little better. Through love and service this Saturday, Henry Mueller will change the world. See the difference you can make. Sign up for service opportunities in your community. Visit justserve.org.
Welcome back to the Valley. Today, I am your host, Janet Michael. Today's topic is all about Parkinson's. April is Parkinson's Awareness Month, so I've made the trip over to the Village at Orchard Ridge. In the first segment, we talked a bit to Kaleen Baker and Cheryl Conrad. They are leaders of the group, the Greater Winchester Area Parkinson's Support Group. And we say Greater Winchester Area because you don't have to be a resident at Orchard Ridge to be able to participate in this. You can live in Winchester, in Frederick County. You can travel over from Clark, from Berkeley Springs. You can be a caregiver. You can be someone who has Parkinson's. You can be a family member or that sort of thing. So I want to make sure we reiterate that several times. But I want to introduce now Dolores and Jerry Gordon. And Dolores, I understand you and Jerry are relatively new to the group by virtue of having not been here that long.
Well, that's true. We moved here about a year ago. We were beginning to suspect that Jerry had Parkinson's through some of his physical symptoms, and we're in the long process of trying to get to see a neurology specialist and to get the tests done. We actually came to our first meeting because there was a speaker that we were very interested in hearing, but then after that we continued to come back even before we had the actual diagnosis because of the support group. Then we got the diagnosis, the official diagnosis, and began to learn more about what's coming down the pipe.
What the reality is actually going to be.
Right. Jerry's very early in the process, and once he started the medication and a therapy program, he had such a quick and immediate improvement that I would think most people would not recognize that he does have Parkinson's.
Jerry, I want to ask you, we talked in the first segment about the fact that there are these two groups within the group. There's the caregivers group, and then there's the people that actually have Parkinson's. What was that group like for you? I would imagine it's very different from a conversation you would have, say, with your doctor.
Yeah, it was just a lot of people sharing what their situations were. And that gives me a sort of a sense of peace that I'm not that different than what's going on with other people. I'm not categorized as that kind of Parkinson's or something like that. One of the things that I want to mention is that through the group, I was able to participate in LSVT Big and LSVT Loud programs, their therapy programs. I'm just really lucky that here at Orchard Ridge, the people who are in the PT department are certified to do these programs. So I've been through the Big and the Loud program, and I've incorporated the Big program into my usual workouts that I do over at the fitness center. And the Loud program, people who have Parkinson's, over time, a lot of them tend to lose volume, well, not volume, but they lose loudness of their voice.
They begin to whisper of sorts.
Yes, and the Loud program was very good. I have to say the Big program was absolutely phenomenal. The people who helped me were great. But the Loud program, it's kind of different. You make a lot of noises, and I practice in my car so nobody can hear me. But yeah, both those programs, I got going to the meetings and probably would not have known about it if I hadn't gone to the meetings.
Dolores, what's it been like for you from the caregiver side? Because this has got to be pretty overwhelming, I would imagine, in the early stages.
His symptoms were obvious before he started the medication and the LSVT program. Greatly improved after both of those started. I think it's more anticipation of what's coming down the pipe. Sometimes you don't know what you don't know, and then sometimes you find out something you're not ready to know. So the support group has helped to open my eyes to that, but also find ways to not get too deep in the weeds on it until I have to.
I could see a scenario where a conversation with a physician says, okay, this is what's going to happen next. And then in your head, you've got all of these things that you're imagining. And then you come to a support group and they're like, yeah, that's what the doctor says, but this is what that really means. And this is how you can deal with it. And some tips to manage probably does make you feel much more at ease.
Some of the things that I learned that were scary did come out of the support group, but I also know it's one step at a time, and you deal with what's right in front of you, and you make the best decision you can in the moment for where you are, and then go on to the next thing. You can't think too far down the pike without getting yourself all in knots.
Have the people in the support group become friends outside of when you see them once a month?
Well, I see so many of them are actual residents here. and
Which makes
so
it easier.
It does. We haven't been in it long enough to develop relationships with people that are outside of the group. And we've been very fortunate in that Jerry's symptoms are mild right now, and he's still very independent.
There is a website, lsvtglobal.com, and you can go onto that website, type in your location, and they will give you a list of people who are trained, certified to do the LSVT big and loud. And I would encourage people to do that if they haven't already done it. I personally have benefited, and I realize that everybody is different, and people, their bodies respond differently to certain exercises and so on, but it has been a big bonus as far as I'm concerned. I'm glad I did it.
What advice would you give someone, Jerry, who is maybe getting that diagnosis right now? Would you recommend that they seek out this group and come to this group?
People who are in the whole community can come in. The meetings are not just for people here at Orchard Ridge. But yeah, if you've got symptoms, if somebody has said you look like you have this, a meeting would benefit people. I think just come to the meeting.
Dolores, what advice do you have for someone from the caregiver perspective if they're listening today and they're in the throes of it themselves, maybe early on, maybe knee deep? Would you recommend or suggest that they seek out and come to these groups?
Certainly, that's a big advantage, and it also gives you encouragement and tools for advocacy, because it's so easy to get lost in the medical system, and it takes so long to get to see a specialist. There are not near enough neurologists in the country for people with Parkinson's. In our area, in the Winchester area proper, there are no neurologists that specialize in Parkinson's.
Really?
There was a nurse practitioner who we connected with who did specialize in Parkinson's, but she's left the area now. So we're back to seeing a neurologist that doesn't necessarily specialize in it. So finding out where those other resources are, and it might involve going across the mountain, getting the encouragement to do that, and knowing that it will be worth the effort to go across the mountain is helpful.
Kaleen, we've talked a little bit in talking with Dolores and Jerry, both from a caregiver side and from someone who has Parkinson's. I want to come back full circle to, it could be somebody listening who has a family member who has Parkinson's and they live in Berryville. I want to make sure we continue to touch on the fact that this isn't just for, as Jerry mentioned, residents at Orchard Ridge. It's for anyone in the community.
Absolutely. We even had one of our members have a friend that lived quite a ways away, and they were visiting, and they came to the meeting and were so excited about it and said, oh man, I wish we had this at our area. But yes, anyone in the area, Berryville, Front Royal, Hagerstown even could come down this way, because they have a support group in Hagerstown, and we get their newsletter. And when I contacted her to continue sending her newsletter because it had extra information, she said, oh, it's so good to know you are there in Winchester, because some of our people are like halfway between Hagerstown and Winchester.
Somebody that lives in Martinsburg, this could be an easier commute for them.
Absolutely. So we are definitely open to anyone in the area that can get here. We would love to have you.
If somebody wants to come to an April meeting, May, June, do they just show up? How does that work?
Yes, they don't have to pre-register or anything, just show up. Actually, our very next meeting is March 31st. It's a breakout session, and that is where we have the caregivers in one area and the Parkinson people in another. But then following that in April is the Parkinson Awareness Walk. Again, they don't have to register, they just show up.
The meetings are here at the Village at Orchard Ridge.
Yes, in our chapel, and we have a ramp so they don't have to worry about steps, and we have parking right here. It's a very convenient place to come and meet, and a lovely facility, really.
And they're the same day of the week and week of the month.
The last Tuesday of the month. We made it really easy, the last Tuesday. No matter how many Tuesdays.
Whether there's 4 or 5 of them,
exactly,
it's the last.
It's the last Tuesday, yes, at 1:30 in the afternoon.
Well, Kaleen, Cheryl, Jerry, Dolores, thank you guys for sharing your experiences with me, and hopefully you have a ton more people that show up and say, hey, I want to learn more about this.
Oh, thank you for letting us be on the air with you.
I will be back tomorrow with a brand new episode of The Valley Today, just a few minutes after noon, so meet me here then.